The galactic trade station Veritas 7 floated in the darkness of space like a massive metal flower. Thousands of ships came and went every day. Aliens of every shape and size walked through its wide corridors. Some had scales. Some had feathers. Some looked like insects standing on two legs. And among all of them, there were humans. Humans were new to the galaxy. Only 50 years had passed since they first left their home planet. To the older species, humans were like children who had just learned to walk. They were small, soft, and weak. Most aliens did not think much of them. Unipark guided her ship through the docking bay with careful hands. She was 32 years old, with short black hair and calm dark eyes. Her ship was called the Silent Wake, and it was not beautiful. The paint was old. The engines made strange sounds. But it flew well, and that was all Una needed. She had been a Marine once. She had fought in the border wars when pirates attacked human colonies. She had seen friends die. She had killed enemies. But that life was behind her now. These days, she carried cargo from one place to another. Medical supplies, food, machine parts. Simple work for simple pay. Today, she was delivering medicine to a human colony on the frontier. The colony had sent an urgent request. Children were sick. They needed the medicine fast. Una had pushed her old ship as hard as it could go to get here on time. She walked down the ramp of her ship and into the customs area. The line was long. Aliens of many species waited to have their cargo checked. Una took her place and waited patiently. She was good at waiting. After an hour, she reached the front of the line. A bored-looking official scanned her documents and waved her toward a side room. "Random inspection," he said without looking at her. Una did not argue. Random inspections happen sometimes. She followed the official into a large room with bright white lights. Her cargo containers were already there, pulled from her ship by station workers. And standing in the middle of the room was Commander Thrall. Una knew what he was the moment she saw him. Vexari. The Vexari were an insectoid species, tall and thin, with hard shells covering their bodies. They had 4 arms and large black eyes that showed no emotion. They were known throughout the galaxy for 2 things: their powerful military and their hatred of species they considered beneath them. Thrall was tall, even for a Vexari. His shell was dark green, almost black, and he wore the silver markings of a patrol commander. He looked at Una the way a person might look at a bug crawling across their floor. "Human?" he said. His voice was like 2 stones grinding together. "What do you carry?" "Medical supplies," Una answered. Her voice was calm and flat. "For the colony on Vern 3, children are sick. The shipment is urgent." Thrall made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Urgent, yes. Everything is urgent with humans." He waved one of his 4 arms. "Open everything." His soldiers moved forward. They were not gentle. They tore open containers and threw the contents on the floor. Medicine bottles shattered. Bandages unrolled across the dirty ground. Equipment that cost thousands of credits was tossed aside like garbage. Una watched. She did not move. She did not speak. Thrall walked slowly around the room, stepping on the scattered supplies. "Humans are always in such a hurry," he said. "Running here, running there, like small animals. Do you know what we call humans in the Vexari language? We call you grass eaters. Prey." Some of his soldiers laughed. Other aliens in the customs area had stopped to watch. None of them said anything. One of the soldiers found Una's personal bag. He dumped it on the floor, clothes, a few books, a small wooden box. The soldier kicked the box open, and something golden fell out. Una's eyes moved to it, just for a moment. But Thrall noticed. He walked over and picked up the golden object. It was a medal, shaped like a star with a ribbon attached. old and worn, but polished with care. "What is this?" Thrall asked. "It belonged to my father," Una said. Her voice was still calm, but something had changed in her eyes. "He was a soldier. He died protecting a colony from pirates. That medal was given to his family to honor his sacrifice." Thrall held the medal up to the light. He turned it over in his clawed fingers. "Honor," he repeated. "Sacrifice." He looked at the other aliens watching. "Do you hear this? Humans think they understand honor." He held the medal higher. "Humans decorate themselves like animals. Little shiny things to make themselves feel important. Perhaps this belonged to a pet?" The watching aliens laughed nervously. They did not want to anger a Vexery commander. Una stood very still. "Please return my father's medal." Thrall looked at her. His black eyes showed nothing. "No." He dropped the medal on the floor. Then, slowly and deliberately, he placed his clawed foot on top of it. The metal bent and cracked under his weight. He ground his foot back and forth until the metal was nothing but twisted scrap. Then he kicked the broken pieces into a waste chute built into the wall. "There," Thrall said. "I have done you a favor. Now you do not need to carry that weight anymore." His soldiers laughed. The watching aliens looked away. Una stood in silence. Her hands hung at her sides. Her face showed nothing at all. Thrall walked closer to her. He was nearly 2 feet taller than her. He leaned down until his face was close to hers. "What will you do, little grass eater? Will you cry? Will you scream? Will you report me to the station authorities?" He made that grinding laugh again. "Go ahead. See what happens." The Vexery hierarchy does not answer to prey. Una looked up at him. Her dark eyes met his black ones. "Are you finished?" she asked quietly. Thrall stared at her for a long moment. Then he stepped back. "Yes, I am finished. Clean up this mess and get out of my station." He walked away. His soldiers followed. The watching aliens quickly went back to their own business, pretending nothing had happened. Una knelt on the floor. Slowly, carefully, she began picking up the scattered medical supplies. She saved what she could. Some of the medicine was ruined. Some of the equipment was broken. But enough remained to help the sick children on VEREN-3. She did not look at the waste chute, where her father's medal had disappeared. When she finished loading her ship, she sat in the pilot's chair and stared at the stars through her window. Her face was calm. Her breathing was steady. But her hands, resting on the controls, were curled into tight fists. A dock worker, who had seen everything later, said to his friend, "I felt sorry for that human woman. Thrall destroyed her completely." His friend, an old trader who had been traveling the galaxy for 60 years, shook his head. "You do not understand humans," he said. "That woman was not destroyed. She was deciding." "Deciding what?" The old trader looked toward the docking bay, where the silent wake was preparing to leave. "Deciding how much pain to bring back." 3 weeks passed after the incident at Veritas 7. Una delivered the remaining medicine to the colony on Veren 3. She watched the doctors give it to the sick children. She watched their fevers go down and their eyes become bright again. When the colony leader tried to thank her, she simply nodded and walked back to her ship. She had work to do. The silent wake traveled through the darker parts of space, visiting stations that did not appear on official maps. Una met with people who lived in shadows. She asked questions. She listened carefully. She wrote everything down in a small notebook. Her first stop was a station called Broken Wheel, hidden in an asteroid field. There, in a bar that smelled of smoke and strange alien drinks, she found Do-Wan Kang. Do-Wan had been her squadmate in the Marines. They had fought side by side for 3 years. He was tall and thin, with a scar running down the left side of his face from a battle long ago. These days he worked as a security consultant, which was a polite way of saying he solved problems that required violence. When he saw Yuna walk into the bar, he smiled. "I heard what happened," he said. "News travels fast out here." Yuna sat across from him. "I need information about Commander Thrall." Do-hwan's smile faded. "Yuna, think carefully about this." "I have thought carefully. That is why I am here." Do-hwan was quiet for a moment. Then he sighed and leaned back in his chair. "Thrall is not just some officer. He comes from a powerful family in the Vexery hierarchy. His uncle is a fleet admiral. His cousin sits on the ruling council. Going after him is like putting your hand in the fire." "I understand," Yuna said. "Do you?" "The Vexery have warships. They have soldiers. They have legal immunity in half the sectors. If you attack one of their commanders, they will hunt you down and kill you. And they will not make it quick." Yuna looked at him with her calm, dark eyes. "He took my father's medal. He crushed it under his foot and threw it away like garbage. In front of everyone." While they laughed, Do-hwan was silent. "My father died saving 37 people," Yuna continued. "He held a doorway against pirates for 6 minutes while colonists escaped. 6 minutes. Do you know how long that is when people are shooting at you? He earned that medal with his blood, and Thrall destroyed it for fun." "I know," Do-hwan said quietly. "But revenge will not bring the medal back." "This is not about revenge," Yuna said. "This is about consequences. Thrall has been doing this for years. Hurting humans, humiliating them, stealing from them. And nothing happens to him because he is Vexery, and we are just grass eaters." Her voice was still calm, but there was something cold underneath it. "Someone needs to teach him that humans are not prey." Do-hwan studied her face for a long moment. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out a data chip. "I started gathering information as soon as I heard what happened. I knew you would come." Yuna took the chip. "Thank you." "Do not thank me yet. What you are planning will probably get you killed." "Probably," Yuna agreed. "But not certainly." Her next stop was a station even further from the main trade routes. There, in a room filled with computer screens and blinking lights, she found Jiwoo Lee. Jiwoo was an information broker. She collected secrets and sold them to whoever paid the most. She was small and quick, with sharp eyes that never stopped moving. Years ago, Yuna had saved her life during a pirate attack. Jiwoo had never forgotten. "I need everything you can find about Commander Thrall," Yuna said. "His patrol routes, his habits, his schedule, his weaknesses." Jiwoo smiled. "You are going hunting." "Yes." Jiwoo turned to her computers and began typing. Information flowed across the screens. "Thrall has been stationed in this sector for 8 years. He commands a patrol cruiser called the Iron Claw. His official job is to inspect cargo ships and maintain order. His unofficial job is to make humans miserable." "How many humans has he hurt?" Jiwoo pulled up a list. The names scrolled past. "Dozens of them. He targets human traders specifically. He confiscates their cargo. He destroys their property. He humiliates them in public." She paused. 3 human traders have disappeared completely after crossing him. No bodies, no investigations. Just gone. Yuna looked at the names. And nobody does anything. The Vexery hierarchy protects its own. And humans are too new, too weak, too afraid to fight back. Jiwoo looked at her. "Until now, apparently." Yuna said nothing. Jiwoo continued typing. "Thrall has a private retreat on a moon called Vethka. It is a hunting lodge. The moon is covered with jungle, full of dangerous animals. Thrall goes there to hunt for sport. He invites other officers and they chase prey through the forest." "What kind of prey?" Jiwoo hesitated. "Animals, officially. But there are rumors that sometimes the prey is not animal. Yuna understood. She had heard of such things. Some species considered hunting intelligent beings to be the ultimate sport. Tell me about the moon, she said. Ji Woo brought up maps and images. Vethka was a small moon, covered entirely in thick jungle. The air was breathable for humans, but hot and humid. The plant life was dense and dangerous. The animals were predators, all of them. The Vexari consider it a challenge, Jiwoo explained. A place to prove their strength and skill. Thrall has been hunting there for 15 years. He knows every path, every hiding place, every danger. Yuna studied the maps carefully. What about security? The lodge has a small staff. When Thrall hunts, he brings his elite guard. 6 soldiers, specially trained for tracking and killing. They've never lost a target. Yuna nodded slowly. Good. Jiwoo looked confused. Good? Did you hear what I said? 6 elite soldiers. Never lost a target. This is not good. It is good, Yuna said, because they have never hunted a human before. For the next month, Yuna prepared. She studied the maps of Vethka until she knew them from memory. She learned about the plants and animals. She practiced moving silently through dense terrain. She built traps and tested weapons. Do-won helped her train. Every day, they fought hand to hand. Every night, they planned. He taught her the weak points of Vexari armor. She taught him how to move like a ghost through darkness. The Vexari are stronger than humans, Do-won said. Faster too. Their shells can stop most small weapons. In a straight fight, they will kill you. I do not plan to fight straight, Yuna answered. A woman named Hiren Cho visited them one night. She was an engineer, quiet and sad. Her brother had been one of the traders who disappeared after crossing Thrall. She brought gifts, a stealth suit that bent light around the wearer, a knife made of material that could cut through Vexari shells, a device that could disable electronic systems. Make him pay, Hiren said. For my brother. For all of them. Yuna took the equipment. I will. On the last night before she left, Do-han asked her, What if you fail? Yuna looked out at the stars. Then I fail. But Thrall will know, at the end, that he was wrong about humans. He will know that we are not prey. She turned to face her old friend. And maybe, the next time a Vexari thinks about hurting a human, he will remember what happened to Thrall. And he will hesitate. Do-han nodded slowly. Give them hell. Yuna smiled. It was not a warm smile. I intend to. The silent wake lifted off and disappeared into the darkness of space, heading for a jungle moon where a monster waited, not knowing that something far more dangerous was coming for him. The trap was simple. Simple traps work best. Yuna let certain information slip into certain ears. A human smuggler was moving through the Korath expanse, carrying rare artifacts from Earth. Old things. Valuable things. The kind of things a collector would pay millions for. The kind of things a Vexari officer might want to confiscate for himself. She knew Thrall would hear about it. She knew his pride would not allow him to ignore it. A human, in his territory, carrying valuable cargo? He would come personally. He always did. The silent wake drifted through the Korath expanse with its engines running low. Yuna sat in the pilot's chair, waiting. She had been waiting for 2 days. She was good at waiting. On the 3rd day, the sensors beeped. A ship was approaching fast. Big, military, Vexari. Yuna smiled. The iron claw came out of faster than light travel like a predator leaping from tall grass. It was 3 times the size of Yuna's ship, covered in weapons and armor. Commander Thrall's voice crackled over the communication system. Human vessel, cut your engines and prepare to be boarded. This is Commander Thrall of the Vexari Patrol. Resist and you will be destroyed. Yuna did not respond. She let them chase her. The Iron Claw fired warning shots. Yuna dodged them, but not too well. She wanted them to think she was scared. She wanted them to think she was trying to escape. She led them on a chase through an asteroid field, making it look difficult, making it look desperate. Finally, a shot hit her engine. The silent wake began to spin. Yuna activated the escape pod sequence and launched herself toward the nearby moon while her ship crashed into an asteroid. The moon was Vethka, exactly where she wanted to be. Her escape pod burned through the atmosphere and crashed into the thick jungle. Yuna climbed out, already wearing the stealth suit Hiron had given her. She checked her equipment: the special knife, the electronic disruptor, climbing rope, water, a small medical kit. No guns. Guns made noise, and noise attracted attention. She disappeared into the jungle. An hour later, a Vexery shuttle landed near her crash pod. Commander Thrall stepped out, followed by 6 soldiers, his elite hunters. They were larger than normal Vexery, with darker shells and more weapons than Yuna could count. Thrall examined the empty escape pod. He ran his clawed hand along the edge, then lifted it to smell the air. "Human female," he said. "Alone, afraid." He turned to his soldiers. "She has run into the jungle. Perfect." One of the soldiers spoke. "Should we call for additional troops, Commander?" Thrall made his grinding laugh. "For one human? No, this will be sport." He looked into the jungle with his black eyes. "I have not hunted a human before. I hear they are clever but weak. Let us see how long this one survives." The hunters spread out and entered the jungle. They moved with confidence. They had tracked and killed hundreds of creatures on this moon. A single human would be easy prey. They did not know that the prey had already begun hunting them. Yuna moved through the jungle like water flowing between rocks. She had studied the terrain for weeks. She knew which plants were safe to touch and which would burn skin. She knew where the ground was solid and where it would swallow a foot. She knew the paths the animals used and the places they avoided. The stealth suit bent light around her body, making her nearly invisible. She crouched in the shadow of a massive tree and watched 2 Vexery hunters pass within 10 feet of her. They looked left and right. They checked their sensors. They found nothing. When they had passed, Yuna followed them. She waited until they separated. One went left to check a clearing. The other went right to examine some broken branches. When the right one was alone, Yuna struck. She dropped from a tree branch onto his back. Her knife found the gap between his helmet and his armor, sliding into the soft flesh beneath. The hunter made a small sound, almost like surprise, and fell. Yuna caught his body and lowered it silently to the ground. 1 down. 5 to go. She took his communication device and crushed it. Then she dragged his body into thick brush and covered it with leaves. By the time the other hunter came back, there was nothing to find except some disturbed plants. "Grek?" The hunter called. "Grek, where are you?" No answer. The hunter activated his communicator. "This is Unit 2. I have lost contact with Unit 1, requesting assistance." Thrall's voice came back, annoyed. He probably chased an animal. "Continue searching." The human cannot have gone far. But the human had not gone far at all. She was 15 feet above the hunter's head, hanging from a vine, waiting for him to move on. Night fell on Vethka. The jungle became dark and full of strange sounds. The Vexery hunters activated their night vision. They had heat sensors too, but Yuna's stealth suit hid her body temperature. To their equipment, she was invisible. She took the second hunter near a stream. He had bent down to examine some footprints she had left deliberately. When he stood up, she was behind him. Her knife moved once, twice. He fell without a sound. The third hunter she caught in a trap. A simple pit covered with leaves, with sharp stakes at the bottom. He had been following what he thought were her tracks. He did not see the pit until he was falling into it. His scream echoed through the jungle. The other hunters rushed to the location, but by the time they arrived, Yuna was gone. She had taken his weapons and disappeared into the darkness. Thrall looked down at his dead soldier. His black eyes showed nothing, but his voice had lost its amusement. This human is more dangerous than expected. One of his remaining soldiers spoke nervously. "Commander, perhaps we should return to the shuttle and call for reinforcements." Thrall turned on him with fury. "And tell them what? That we cannot handle one human female? That she is hunting us?" He grabbed the soldier by the throat. "I am Commander Thrall. I do not run from prey." He released the soldier and looked into the dark jungle. "We will continue the hunt. Find her. Kill her. Bring me her head." The 3 remaining soldiers spread out, more careful now. They moved in pairs. They checked every shadow. They trusted nothing. Yuna watched them from her hiding place high in the trees. She had not slept. She did not need sleep right now. She ran on something stronger. Purpose. She followed the hunters through the night. She let them see shadows that were not there. She made sounds that led them in circles. She left pieces of their fallen comrades' equipment where they would find them by dawn. The hunters were tired and scared. Vexari were not used to being afraid. They were the predators. They were the hunters. But something had changed on this moon. Something had shifted. One of the soldiers said to his partner, "This is wrong. We should leave." His partner nodded. "The commander's pride will get us all killed." They made a decision. They turned and began walking back toward the shuttle. They would take the ship and leave. Let Thrall have his hunt. They wanted to survive. They did not survive. Yuna caught them at the edge of a cliff. She came from the shadows so fast they barely had time to raise their weapons. The first one fell over the edge, screaming. The second turned to run and found her knife waiting. When Thrall's communicator activated with nothing but static from his last 2 soldiers. He finally understood. He was alone, and somewhere in the jungle. In the darkness, the human was coming for him. Thrall ran through the jungle like a hunted animal. Branches scratched his shell. Vines grabbed at his legs. The proud commander of the Iron Claw, terror of human traders, pushed through the thick plants with fear in his heart. His hunting lodge was 2 miles ahead. It had thick walls and strong doors. It had weapons and supplies. If he could reach it, he would be safe. He could call for help. He could bring an entire fleet to burn this jungle to ash. He did not think about how strange it was. He did not think about how the hunter had become the hunted. He only thought about survival. Yuna let him run. She followed at a distance, moving silently through the shadows. She could have caught him many times. She chose not to. She wanted him to reach the lodge. She wanted him to feel safe, just for a moment. Before she took that safety away, Thrall burst out of the jungle and saw his lodge ahead. It was a large building made of metal and stone, built to survive the dangerous wildlife of Vethka. He rushed inside and sealed the door behind him. His hearts were beating fast. His breath came in sharp gasps. Safe. He was safe. He activated the communication system to call his ship. Static. He tried again. Nothing. The human had done something to the relay. He was cut off, but he was still inside his fortress. He had weapons here. He had supplies. He could wait. Eventually, someone would come looking for him. He moved through the lodge, checking every room, sealing every window. He gathered weapons and placed them where he could reach them easily. He told himself he was being smart, being careful. He did not admit, even to himself, that he was afraid. Night came again. Thrall sat in the main room of his lodge, surrounded by weapons, staring at the sealed door. The lights were bright. He had turned on every light in the building. No shadows. No places to hide. A sound came from outside. Footsteps. Slow and deliberate. Thrall grabbed a rifle and aimed at the door. I know you are out there, human. Come in and I will kill you. I have enough weapons to destroy an army. No answer. The footsteps continued. Walking around the building, circling. Thrall followed the sound with his rifle, moving from window to window. He saw nothing. Just darkness and jungle. Then, on his doorstep, he found something. A helmet. One of his soldiers' helmets. Placed carefully on the ground, facing the door. Thrall stared at it. His hands began to shake. The second night, another item appeared. A communicator, broken and bent, left on the windowsill of his bedroom. The third night, a knife. One of the special hunting knives his elite soldiers carried. It was covered in dried blood. Thrall stopped sleeping. He paced through his lodge, rifle in hands, jumping at every sound. The lights flickered sometimes, and each flicker made him cry out. He began talking to himself. She cannot get in. The walls are strong. The doors are sealed. She is just one human. Just one small, weak human. But he did not believe his own words. On the fourth day, he heard something moving in the air vents. He fired his rifle into the ceiling, screaming. The shots echoed through the empty lodge. When the sound faded, there was silence. Then, softly, from somewhere inside the building, footsteps. Thrall spun around, firing wildly. Show yourself. Show yourself. The lights went out. Complete darkness. Thrall fumbled for a flashlight, his claws scraping against metal. When the beam finally cut through the black, he swept it across the room. Empty. The room was empty. He backed against the wall, breathing hard. His forearms held weapons in every direction. His black eyes searched for movement. Human, he said, his voice cracking. I am Commander Thrall of the Vexery Hierarchy. Do you know what my people will do to your species if you kill me? They will burn your colonies. They will enslave your children. They will wipe humans from the galaxy. A voice came from the darkness, calm, quiet, close. You destroyed my father's metal. Thrall fired toward the voice. The flash of the rifle lit up the room for a moment. He saw nothing. He died protecting innocent people. The voice continued, moving, always moving. He stood in a doorway for 6 minutes while pirates shot at him. 6 minutes so that families could escape. Children could live. Thrall spun, firing again. Shut up. You crushed his metal under your foot. You threw it in the garbage. You laughed. It was just a piece of metal. Thrall screamed. Just a stupid human decoration? Silence. Then the lights came on. Una stood 5 feet in front of him. She was small. She was covered in dirt and scratches. Her hair was tangled and wild. She held no weapon in her hands. She just stood there, looking at him with her calm, dark eyes. Thrall raised his rifle. His claws were shaking so badly he could barely aim. You call us prey, Una said. Grass eaters, animals. She took a step forward. Thrall took a step back. You thought because we are small, because we are soft, because we do not have claws or shells, that we are weak. Another step forward. Another step back. You were wrong. Thrall pulled the trigger. Nothing happened. The rifle was empty. He had used all his ammunition shooting at shadows. He threw the rifle aside and drew a blade from his belt. I will kill you with my hands, human. I am stronger than you, faster than you. Una did not run. She did not back away. Yes, she said. You are stronger. You are faster. She tilted her head slightly. But I am not here to fight you, Commander. Thrall hesitated. Then why are you here? Una reached into her jacket and pulled out a small device. I am here to show the galaxy what you really are. She pressed a button. The device projected a holographic screen into the air. On the screen, Thrall saw himself. He saw his face, terrified and wild. He saw himself screaming at shadows, shooting at empty rooms, cowering against walls. I have been recording everything, Una said. Every moment since you entered this jungle. Every scream. Every whimper. Every time the great Commander Thrall ran from a single human woman. Thrall's blade dropped from his numb fingers. And I have recorded this conversation too. Your threats against humanity. Your confession that you knew what you did was wrong. Una stepped closer. This recording will go to every station in the sector. To the Galactic Council. To the news networks. And yes, to the Vexery hierarchy. Thrall fell to his knees. Please, please, I will give you anything. Money, ships. I will leave humans alone forever. Just do not send that recording. Una looked down at him. The mighty Vexery commander on his knees, begging a grass eater for mercy. Do you know what my father would say if he could see you now? She asked. He would say that every creature deserves a chance to be better. He believed in mercy. He believed in second chances. Thrall looked up with hope in his black eyes. But my father is dead, Una said. And you threw his memory in the garbage. She pressed another button on the device. Transmission sent. Thrall made a sound. It was not a scream. It was smaller than that. It was the sound of a creature who has just realized that everything he was, everything he had, was gone. Una walked to the door of the lodge. She paused and looked back at the broken commander. I am not going to kill you, she said. Death would be quick, easy, forgotten. She opened the door. Jungle sounds filled the room. Your people will know what you did. They will know what you became. They will know that one human woman made you crawl. She stepped outside. Live with that. The door closed behind her and Commander Thrall, alone in his hunting lodge, began to weep. The recording spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Within hours, every major station had seen it. Within days, it had reached 1 billion beings on 1,000 worlds. The mighty Commander Thrall, pride of the Vexery Patrol, crying and begging on his knees before a small human woman. His threats against humanity played on repeat. His confessions echoed through news networks. The Vexery hierarchy was furious. Not at Thrall for what he had done, but at him for being caught. For being weak. For embarrassing them in front of the entire galaxy. They could not punish Una without admitting their own failures. If they sent ships after her, they would prove her claims about Vexery cruelty. If they ignored the recording, they would look weak. They were trapped, and they knew it. So they did what powerful institutions always do when they cannot escape shame. They sacrificed one of their own. Commander Thrall was quietly brought back to Vexery space. There was no public announcement, no grand trial. He simply disappeared from his position, stripped of rank, stripped of honor, stripped of everything he had built over decades of service. Rumors said he was sent to a labor colony on the edge of Vexery territory. Other rumors said his own family had disowned him. Some even whispered that he had taken his own life, unable to bear the shame. Una did not care which rumor was true. Thrall's fate was no longer a concern. 6 months passed. Galactic trade. Station Veritas 7 looked the same as it had before. Ships came and went. Aliens of every shape and size walked through its corridors. Customs officials checked cargo and stamped documents. But something had changed. Something small but important. When human ships docked now, no one laughed at them. When human traders walked through the corridors, other aliens stepped aside. Not with fear, exactly. Something more like respect. Una guided the silent wake into the same docking bay where her nightmare had started. The ship was different now. New paint. Better engines. Jiwoo had insisted on paying for repairs, saying it was the least she could do. Yuna walked down the ramp and into the customs area. The same official who had sent her to Threll's inspection room saw her and quickly looked away. He waved her through without checking anything. She collected a few supplies, refueled her ship, and prepared to leave. Simple work. Normal work. As if nothing had happened. As she walked back to her ship, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned. A young Vexery stood there. He was smaller than Threll had been, with a lighter shell and nervous posture. His uniform showed him as a junior officer, barely more than a trainee. Yuna's hand moved toward her knife without thinking. The young Vexery raised his forearms in a gesture of peace. "Please," he said. His voice was higher than Threll's, softer. "I do not want trouble. I only want to talk." Yuna studied him for a moment. Then she relaxed slightly. "Talk about what?" The young officer looked around to make sure no one was listening. "My name is Vrel. I was assigned to Commander Threll's patrol group. I saw how he treated humans. I saw what he did to you that day." He looked down at the floor. "I did nothing. I was afraid." Yuna waited. "When the recording spread, I thought my people would be angry at humans. I thought there would be revenge." Vrel looked up at her. But instead, something strange happened. Other Vexery, young ones like me, started asking questions. Why did Threll act that way? Why did we think it was acceptable? What does it say about us that we laughed at cruelty? He took a deep breath. "I wanted to say, I am sorry for what was done to you, for what my species has done to yours. And I wanted to thank you." Yuna raised an eyebrow. "Thank me? You showed us something important. You showed us that strength is not about size or weapons or power. It is about refusing to accept injustice. About standing up even when you are afraid." Vrel straightened his posture. "I am trying to be that kind of strong now. It is difficult, but I am trying." Yuna looked at the young Vexery for a long moment. Then, slowly, she nodded. "That is all anyone can do." Vrel bowed his head in respect and walked away. Yuna continued to her ship. At the boarding ramp, she found Do-Wan waiting. He was leaning against the hull, arms crossed, smiling. "Making friends with Vexery now?" he asked, apparently. Yuna walked up the ramp and into her ship. Do-Wan followed. "I heard a story yesterday," Do-Wan said as they entered the cockpit. "A Vexery patrol stopped a human freighter in the outer systems. Standard inspection, the kind that used to mean trouble. But this time, the Vexery officer just checked the documents and let the ship go. No harassment. No humiliation. Nothing." Yuna sat in the pilot's chair. "That is good." The human captain said the officer looked scared. Do-Wan laughed. He said the Vexery kept looking at him like he was waiting for something to happen. Like he was worried the human might turn into a monster and eat him. "Also good," Yuna said. "Fear can be useful. It keeps people polite." Do-Wan's smile faded a little. "Are you okay? Really?" Yuna was quiet for a moment. She looked out the window at the stars. Billions of stars, billions of worlds, billions of beings living their lives. And somewhere out there, because of what she had done, humans were a little safer, a little more respected, a little harder to dismiss as prey. "I will never get my father's medal back," she said finally. "That piece of metal he earned with his life is gone forever. Nothing can change that." "No," Do-Wan agreed. "Nothing can. The maybe." Yuna paused, choosing her words carefully. "Maybe what I did matters more than the medal ever did. My father earned his honor in 6 minutes, holding a doorway. I earned mine in 4 days, in a jungle, showing the galaxy what humans are made of." She turned to face her friend. He would have understood. I think he would have been proud. Do-hwan put his hand on her shoulder. I know he would. A chime sounded. Someone was at the cargo bay entrance. Yuna frowned and checked her sensors. No ships nearby. No official vehicles. She walked down to the cargo bay and opened the door. On the floor of the docking bay sat a small package wrapped in plain brown material. Yuna picked it up carefully. It was light. She looked around but saw no one nearby. She brought the package inside and opened it. Her breath caught in her throat. Inside was her father's medal. Not the same medal. That one was destroyed and gone. But this one was identical. The same shape, the same design, the same ribbon. It was old and worn, showing years of careful keeping. And attached to it was a note written in an alien script. Yuna showed it to Do-hwan. Can you read this? He studied it. His eyes widened. It is an old language, formal, used for official honors. He translated slowly. Some debts cannot be unpaid. You reminded us what courage looks like. The stars remember what you did. So do we. A friend. Yuna held the medal in her hands. It felt warm. It felt like memory. It felt like hope. Someone in the Vigzari hierarchy sent this, Do-hwan said quietly. Someone who saw your father's medal before Thrall destroyed it. Someone who had their own medal, the same type, and wanted you to have it. Yuna did not speak. She could not speak. She walked back to the cockpit and hung the medal from a hook near the window. It caught the light of distant stars and glowed softly. Do-hwan watched her. What now? Yuna sat in the pilot's chair and began the startup sequence. The silent wake hummed to life around her. Through the window, she could see the infinite darkness of space, full of possibility and danger and wonder. Now we work, she said. There are colonies that need supplies. Traders who need protection. People who need help. She looked at the medal one more time, then turned to face the stars. The galaxy is vast, and there is always more to do. The silent wake lifted off from Veritas 7 and flew toward the frontier. Behind her, on the station, aliens of many species watched a small human ship disappear into the darkness. Some of them had been there the day Thrall humiliated her. They remembered her face, calm and unreadable. They remembered thinking she was beaten down. Now they knew better. Humans were new to the galaxy. Small, soft, weak by many measures. But they had something that could not be measured. A fire inside them that would not go out. A refusal to accept cruelty. A willingness to fight, not for glory or conquest, but for justice. The galaxy was learning what that meant. The stars themselves were beginning to remember. And somewhere, in the infinite darkness between worlds, a woman with calm, dark eyes and her father's medal flew on, ready for whatever came next.